When everything in your life begins to fall apart, your first instinct might be to panic. Your career, your identity. It may be because the version of yourself that got you here is not the version that can take you where you need to go. The problem is we cling to what is familiar, even if it's dysfunctional, even if it's holding us back. We grip it tightly because it's what we know. We resist change because those were the moments that broke you, but they were also the moments that remade you. They forced you to grow, to become something more, to rise from the ashes as something stronger and wiser than before. So when you feel like everything is crumbling, ask yourself, is this destruction or is this transformation in disguise? What is life trying to clear away? What is being burned so that something greater can take its place? There is an old saying, the cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek. But before you can enter that cave, you must be willing to trust the process and step forward with courage. You will come out on the other side transformed. Discomfort is something most people try to avoid. It's unsettling, unfamiliar, and at times even painful. When we encounter discomfort, our instinct is to retreat, to find safety, to return to what is known. But what if discomfort isn't something to be feared? What if it is instead a signal, one that tells you that you are on the verge of growth, that something in your life is shifting in a necessary and meaningful way? Growth, by its very nature, requires you to move beyond what is familiar. The process of becoming something more than you were before demands that you step outside your comfort zone. And that is never easy. There is always a cost. That cost might be uncertainty, exhaustion, rejection, or even failure. But it is in this very discomfort that transformation takes place. Think about how muscles grow. If you lift the same weight every day, your muscles will never change. It's only when you push yourself past your limits, when you lift heavier, when you feel the burn, when your muscles ache, that real growth occurs. The discomfort is proof that your body is adapting, that it is becoming stronger. If you avoid the discomfort, you stagnate. The same principle applies to life. When you start to feel restless in a place where you were once comfortable, it is often a sign that you are outgrowing your current situation. Perhaps it's a job that no longer challenges you, a relationship that no longer fulfills you, or a routine that feels repetitive and uninspiring. That discomfort is telling you something. It's urging you to move forward, to evolve, to become something greater than you were before. The problem is that most people are quitting or wished you could escape the situation altogether. But if you stayed with it, if you pushed through the discomfort, something changed. You learned, you adapted, you grew. Looking back, you can likely see that the overgrowth, but in doing so, they also choose stagnation. Opportunities rarely arrive in the way we expect. They don't always come with clear signs, perfect timing, or a sense of certainty. More often than not, they emerge in hindsight that we recognize how seemingly small, random, or inconvenient moments led to something life-changing. Think about the most pivotal moments in your life. Chances are, many of them were not meticulously planned. Perhaps you stumbled upon a form set to say yes before you have all the answers. You may find that what once seemed like a random or inconvenient event was actually the beginning of something far greater than you imagined. So when something new presents itself, don't dismiss it simply because it wasn't part of your plan. Don't assume that you must have absolute certainty before you take the first step. Life is constantly shifting, and opportunities are always emerging in unexpected ways. The question is not whether they exist. The question is whether you are willing to see them and whether you are brave enough to take them when they come. When you are on the brink of something meaningful, when you are stepping into a new chapter of your life, pursuing a dream or pushing yourself toward a higher version of who you are, resistance will appear. It will not simply knock at your door. It will storm in, uninvited, trying to pull you back into the familiar, into the comfortable, into the place where no real growth happens. Resistance is not random. It is a natural force that arises whenever change is imminent. If you look at any major transformation, whether personal or societal, you will see a pattern. The closer you get to something significant, the stronger the resistance becomes. It can take many forms: internal doubts, external obstacles, fear, procrastination, criticism, even sudden misfortunes that seem to come out of nowhere. It is as if the universe itself is asking, how badly do you want this? There is a psychological reason for this. The human mind is wired for survival, not necessarily for progress. It craves stability and predictability. When you begin to challenge the status quo, whether it's within yourself, your relationships, or your career, your brain perceives it as a threat. It doesn't matter if the change is positive, the mind associates the unknown with danger. This is why, as soon as you set a bold goal, doubt creeps in. What if I fail? What if I'm not good enough? What if this is a mistake? This internal dialogue is not a sign that you should stop. It is a sign that you are on the edge of something important. But resistance doesn't just come from within, it forces them to confront their own stagnation. Then there are the obstacles that seem almost tailor-made to discourage you. Unexpected failures, financial struggles, unforeseen complications, all appearing just as you gain momentum. This is the moment where most people turn back. They assume that resistance means they are on the wrong path. If this were meant to be, they think, wouldn't it be easier? But this is precisely the test. Resistance is not proof that you should stop. It is proof that what you are doing matters. History is full of examples of resistance preceding breakthrough. Great leaders, artists, and innovators all faced tremendous obstacles before achieving their goals. Thomas Edison failed thousands of times before inventing the light bulb. Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in prison before helping dismantle apartheid. Every meaningful movement, every groundbreaking idea, every major transformation was met with resistance before it succeeded. So what do you do when resistance intensifies? You recognize it for what it is, a necessary part of the process. You don't run from it. You don't let it dictate your actions. Instead, you lean into it. You use it as fuel. When you encounter doubt, you remind yourself that fear is a byproduct of stepping into the unknown. When people question you, you understand that their opinions are not your reality. When obstacles arise, you see them not as signs to quit, but as tests of your commitment. The truth is, if you feel no resistance, you're probably not pushing yourself hard enough. Growth does not happen in ease and comfort. It happens when you confront challenges and move forward anyway. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't is not the absence of resistance, it is the willingness to endure it. So when resistance intensifies, don't take it as a signal to turn back. Take it as confirmation that you are on the right path. Let it be the sign that you are close to something worthwhile. Because if there's one thing that history, psychology, and human experience have proven time and time again, it's this: the strongest resistance always comes right before the breakthrough. Intuition is often misunderstood. It is not irrational. It is a form of intelligence, one that operates beyond conscious reasoning. It is the culmination of your experiences, subconscious observations, and an awareness that goes beyond what the mind can immediately articulate. When you feel drawn towards something, a new path, a bold decision, an unfamiliar direction, it is often because on some level you already know it is right for you. The problem is that intuition does not always come with explanations. It does not give you a detailed map or a step-by-step plan. It simply whispers, nudges, and urges you to move. Most people struggle with trusting this inner pull because they have been conditioned to rely solely on logic and external validation. Society teaches us to prioritize reason over feeling, to seek approval before making decisions, to choose safety over the unknown. But the greatest breakthroughs in life, the moments of real transformation, rarely come from playing it safe. They come from those who are willing to listen to the voice inside, even when it makes no immediate sense. Think about the times in your life when you followed your intuition. Perhaps you felt an urge to take a different route home, only to discover later that it saved you from an accident. Maybe you felt an unexplained connection to a person, and that relationship changed your life in ways you never expected. Or maybe you were drawn toward a career, a place, or an idea that seemed impractical at the time, but later proved to be exactly what you needed. Intuition does not always shout. More often it whispers. And if you do not pay attention, it is easy to dismiss it. This deep intuitive pull often shows up in moments of transition, when you are outgrowing your current circumstances, when something greater is calling you forward, you will feel it. It may come as restlessness, a sense that you no longer fit in the places that once felt comfortable. It may come as an unshakable curiosity about something new, an attraction to a path you never considered before. At first, it may seem irrational. Why should you leave behind what is familiar? Why should you take a risk when there are no guarantees? But if you ignore this feeling, it does not go away. It lingers. It tugs at you. It keeps resurfacing no matter how much you try to suppress it. The challenge is that intuition often leads you into the unknown. It rarely aligns with the neatly laid out plans you have for yourself. It may push you toward opportunities that seem inconvenient, toward risks that seem unreasonable, or toward people who defy your expectations. This is why many people hesitate. They want certainty before they move. But intuition does not work that way. It requires trust. It requires the willingness to step forward even when you cannot yet see the full picture. There is a reason why so many people look back on their lives and say, "Something told me to do that," or "I just knew." In hindsight, the path becomes clear, but in the moment, all they had was a feeling, a pull towards something they could not yet define. The difference between those who grow and those who remain stuck is often the ability to trust that pull, to act on it before the logical mind can convince them otherwise. This is not to say that every impulse should be followed without thought. There is a difference between a fleeting desire and a deep, persistent calling. True intuition is not based on fear, desperation, or impulsivity. It comes with a quiet certainty, a knowing that does not need to be forced. It does not scream for attention. It simply waits for you to listen. So, how do you recognize and trust this deep intuitive pull? First, you must create space for it. In a world filled with distractions, noise, and external expectations, it is easy to drown out your own inner voice. But if you take the time to slow down, to listen, to pay attention to what stirs something inside you, you will begin to hear it more clearly. Second, you must be willing to act, even when you do not have all the answers. You do not need to see the entire road ahead. You only need to take the first step. As you move forward, the next step will reveal itself. This is how intuition works. It unfolds with action, not with hesitation. And finally, you must be willing to let go of the need for external validation. Not everyone will understand your decisions. Not everyone will see what you see. But that is because your intuition is speaking to you, not to them. It is guiding you toward the life you are meant to live, not the one others expect of you. A deep intuitive pull is not something to be ignored. It is a signal that you are meant for something more. And if you are brave enough to trust it, to follow it, to lean into the unknown with faith instead of fear, you may find that it leads you to exactly where you were meant to be all along. Just when you think you are on the verge of something great, when you have put in the effort, endured the struggle, and moved past the doubts, a final test appears. It comes unexpectedly, right at the moment when you believe you are ready to step forward. It is the last barrier between you and the life you have been working toward, and it is always the hardest. This final test is not a coincidence. It exists because transformation requires proof of commitment. Growth is not just about wishing for something better. It is about demonstrating that you are truly prepared for it. Life does not hand over rewards to those who merely want them. It grants them to those who have earned them, who have shown resilience in the face of resistance, and who have refused to back down when it mattered most. At this stage, many people falter. The final test often looks like failure, rejection, or an obstacle so overwhelming that it makes you question whether you should continue at all. It might come in the form of unexpected difficulties, financial struggles just as you are about to launch a business, self-doubt just as you are about to take a bold step, or criticism from others just when you are gaining confidence. It could be a sudden setback that feels like a cruel joke from the universe, as if everything is conspiring to stop you from moving forward. But this is exactly the point. The final test is not designed to push you back. It is designed to see if you will push forward. It is asking you, how badly do you want this? It is making sure you are not stepping into something unprepared. It is separating those who are serious from those who are merely interested. And the truth is, most people give up at this stage. They see the test as a sign that they are on the wrong path, rather than recognizing it for what it is, the last challenge before the breakthrough. History is filled with stories of individuals who faced their greatest challenges just before achieving their biggest successes. Countless entrepreneurs failed repeatedly before they found the right formula. Artists and writers faced rejection after rejection before their work was finally recognized. Athletes pushed through injuries and losses before achieving greatness. The pattern is clear. The final test appears when you are closest to the finish line, but the only way through it is forward. One of the most dangerous traps at this stage is self-doubt. The test does not just come in external form. It often arises internally as well. Your mind will start to whisper, maybe this isn't meant for me. Maybe I am not good enough. Maybe I should just turn back. This is a natural reaction, but it is also the very thing that must be overcome. The people who succeed are not the ones who never feel doubt. They are the ones who keep moving despite it. There is also the temptation to settle. When the final test appears, it can make you feel exhausted, discouraged, and uncertain. It is at this point that many people choose comfort over courage. They convince themselves that what they already have is good enough, that maybe they don't need to push any further. But deep down, they know the truth. Settling is just another form of giving up. It is a way of avoiding the last bit of effort required to reach the next level. So how do you overcome this final test? First, you must recognize it for what it is. Instead of seeing it as a reason to stop, see it as confirmation that you are close. If the challenge is great, it means the reward is as well. If the resistance is strong, it means you are stepping into something meaningful.